welcome to week 9 of the This Week in Film podcast, the world's most important podcast about movies to date.
Oh, man.
I'm Nick Pinotto, joined as always by Charlie Chester, and for the first time as a contributing host to the show, Keith Seddon.
Yeah.
What's up, Keith? Glad to have you.
I'm Tony.
Keith, you were on the show previously talking about how George Clooney was your favorite Batman.
Uh-huh. That was fun. That happened.
We enjoyed it enough to invite you back.
Thank you.
You really
that's something.
You cut your teeth on that, and now that Tony has abandoned us, it's time to move on.
Guys, this is great. I'm totally pumped. I liked being a guest, but this is great being an honorary host right now.
Now you're a guest host.
Guest hosting.
Right,
It's a promotion.
right. This is a big deal, Keith.
I like movies.
Keith, what movie did you watch this week?
I watched the 2004 Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst.
Okay.
And it's called
The Amazing... Wait. Isn't it just Spider-Man?
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Spider-Man -2. I don't know. I can't remember.
Spider-Man 2.
No. This is Spider-Man 2. 2004 by a director called Sam Raimi called Spider-Man 2.
Oh, classic Spider-Man 2.
Not Spider-Man 2 with that Andrew Garfield.
That's the Amazing Spider-Man.
That's the
2.
Amazing Spider-Man. Well, I'm talking Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, the real Spider-Man.
Is this one of your favorite movies? Did you dig it? Like, what's the deal?
Well, first, I have to say that the first one, the original Spider-Man, that is one of my favorite movies.
Right.
And I went back, decided it was time to try the second one out again, because I remember liking the second one a lot. And the second one's probably better than the first one.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know how you guys feel about that.
It's leaps and bounds above the first one, and the first one's a good movie.
In fact, actually, the first movie, I rate all movies, whether it's better or worse than Spider-Man 1. So this movie was better than Spider-Man 1.
Wait, you rank all movies?
Yeah. If I go to movies, is it better or worse than the first
If you
Spider-Man?
had a movie rating site like a Rotten Tomatoes,
yeah,
that would be your bottom line.
If it's on the same level as the first Spider-Man.
Like Hunt for Red October, better or worse than Spider-Man?
I'm going to say worse than Spider-Man.
It's such a simple,
ridiculous
easy
thing to say.
rating. I think I can get behind this rating system.
That's fine.
What's your favorite part of the movie? Like, what stands out?
To be honest with you, and the reason I watched Spider-Man 2 was because I woke up one morning and I had a montage stuck in my head, and it's the montage where Peter Parker is the raindrops keep falling on my head. I don't know if you guys remember it, but
yeah.
Peter Parker's pretty much decided, like,
This is when Sam Raimi started doing music videos inside the Spider-Man movies, but it worked.
This one definitely
worked in Spider-Man 2.
Didn't work so much as Spider-Man 3.
No.
But this one's great.
Maybe one or two dance sequences in Spider-Man 3.
Oh, man. It was pretty hip. Then the second one, that montage with Peter Parker not using his powers anymore because, Mary Jane has kind of crushed his heart, is awesome. It's very goofy. He trips over his own feet. There's one point he buys a hot dog, and you hear the sirens and these police cars rushing by, and the camera slowly zooms into him. Like, what's Spider-Man gonna do? Takes a bite from the hot dog, keeps on going. And it also ends with this awesome freeze frame. Like he's walking out, he got a good grade on whatever test. Freeze frame. Peter Parker's face.
That's total Sam Raimi. Like back, when he was doing the Evil Dead flicks, like Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
Like that silly, goofy inspiration coming from Three Stooges sort of feel, whimsical. You could see that peppered in there, which is great. He was perfectly cast as the director for that series. It works so well.
Totally agree. Dr. Octopus is a great bad guy.
I completely agree. And all practical effects, too. I remember I was really into that movie when it came out, and I followed every bit of information that came out about it, and then reading about how they had puppeteers, 2 or 3 people working each arm. Mm-hmm. I love that Dr. Octopus. And that final fight sequence still holds up. If you watch it today, some of the special effects look dated, but it is very exciting and it's very fun to watch.
Wow. Definitely.
I gotta rewatch it.
So this week, I watched the movie Sorcerer. Last week, Tony was talking about William Friedkin and all his freaking facts. And I realized when Tony was talking about it that the movie Sorcerer is one I had never seen. And the reason I had never seen it is because I thought it was about a wizard.
Like a warlock?
Yeah, I thought it was about a sorcerer. And no, it's a remake of a French film called The Wages of Fear. And the plot of the movie basically...
Wait, Wages of Fear. Is that the one with the guys hauling dynamite?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite movies. I didn't
And
realize
that's what
this is a
this
remake.
movie is. It's a
Really?
remake, yeah.
That's awesome.
And they got it's basically Roy Schneider and 3 other guys have to move some very old dynamite 200 miles up the road in these
that's
rickety
awesome.
old trucks.
Now I'm excited. I got to
And
watch this movie.
Tangerine Dream does the soundtrack.
Yes, they do.
That
One
is
of my
awesome.
one of my favorite guys to do scores of all time. I want to live in a world where Tangerine Dream does my soundtrack.
So basically, I thought the movie was very entertaining, but the whole entire first 45 minutes of that movie is useless. It is a waste of time. You basically, the main characters, the 4 truck drivers, are all bad people, and they spend 45 minutes showing you that these are all terrible people. They're all criminals, and they've run away to the South American jungle to get away from their people that are hunting them down.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. I mean, that movie could have started with them getting into the trucks because there's enough character development in the trucks. The scenes where the truck is moving, like the truck goes like 10 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's wages of fear, right? Like that's
and it's
so nerve-wracking.
It's so nerve-wracking to watch, and they have to cross this rickety rope bridge, which is the best scene in the whole movie. They have to cross this bridge in this awful storm.
Right.
And all I could think the whole time was, just wait for the storm to end. Just wait.
There's no time for that.
Because spoiler alert, once they get across the bridge, it's sunny. It's like beautiful. It's like the most gorgeous day they've ever had. But definitely worth checking out. But the whole first hour of the movie is useless. It's a complete waste of time. Charlie. Closing it out again this week.
Okay. All right. Well, there's a theme for this week, kind of, I guess, because the movie I watched also had a Tangerine Dream soundtrack. It's a little movie called Thief with James Caan. This is going back, I want to say early 80s, like really early 80s, and it was produced by Michael Mann. The reason I looked it up, I was like, I need to watch a heist flick. I'm working on a new project, and I'm like, I need a really good heist flick just to do some reference. And this movie kept popping up over and over again on everyone's list. And it's basically James Caan. His cover is that he's a car salesman, but he prowls the night as like this burglar.
Burglar.
He's a sexy cat burglar. He basically he's a one-man band show. I should say he has a partner, James Belushi, but Belushi is just helping him out. Khan is the brains behind it, and he ends up getting approached by like a mini organization of criminals, like a fledgling kingpin is trying to bring in some like talent. And they ask him to come on and do a couple gigs, and of course he gets screwed over. And half the movie is him pulling off this major heist, and then when he gets screwed over by them, trying to get out of it. And it's more about him using his heist skill set to get himself out of this jam. And set to the Tangerine Dream soundtrack, it's amazing. But this has been a smokescreen because the movie that I actually really wanted to talk about is called Mac and Me, which I spent 2 hours watching this week just to make Nick miserable.
Mac and Me?
Mac and Me is a 1980s wannabe version of E.T.
Well, that was week 9 of the This Week in Film podcast.
No, we're talking about Mac
No,
and
we're
Me.
not.
Nick.
We're
Yeah.
talking about we're not
Talk about mac
we're not
and
doing
cheese.
Mac and Me.
Dude, Mac and Me, you gotta watch it, dude.
Yep.
I put the time in this week.
I've seen enough of that movie from Paul Rudd on Conan. That's go back to Thief. Go back to Thief. We're not doing Mac and Me.
Let me just make one quick thing about Mac and Me, and then we'll move away from it. But it's such shitty budget that like these are puppets that don't have joints, and they essentially the puppeteers just make them wiggle in order to get the.
Oh, good! Our AP finally showed up. What do you need, Stretch?
Stretch doesn't talk on the air.
In Mac and Me.
No.
Yes. There's this Mars rover that accidentally picks up a family of aliens and brings them back to Earth, and they escape. And it's a traditional nuclear family of like the mom has got like a house dress and like the dad wears a business suit, and it's just ridiculous. But
Those goofy rubber-looking aliens
Yeah.
are wearing dresses and suits?
As soon
I'm
as
not watching this. I don't know. I'm asking questions.
Father looks like a drunk piece of silly putty. That's the best way I could describe it.
The father alien?
Yeah, the father alien. When
He's
Nick
ugly.
watches this and he puts that clip in of the drunk alien father, that looks like drunk silly putty. You'll all appreciate it. It's the little boy in it who, of course, like takes on Mac, this little guy. Like E.T., he's got healing powers. Spoiler alert. And the little boy is in a wheelchair. So eventually Mac is going to give him back his legs. Yeah. It's so bad. But the best part about the movie is that at some point in the movie, for no good reason at all, they go to McDonald's and it becomes a 2-minute commercial for McDonald's. Everyone's dancing. Ronald McDonald's doing like flips. And Mac is dancing around in the McDonald's. It's amazing.
I don't want
It's
to watch
amazing.
this movie.
I don't know.
I wanted to watch
watch
Thief.
this movie.
You can watch both. At the end of the movie, the big thing is that like this whole thing is like an allegory for like immigration. They end up being getting their green cards, like they're American citizens at the end, and it ends with them in this convertible driving, and a little bubble pops up saying at the very last moment, "We'll be back," saying to everybody, "There's going to be a sequel." Spoiler alert, no, there was no sequel because it was awful.
You're an awful person.
Picking up where it left off. Speech bubble. We're back.
Yeah, we're
I don't-
Well, that was week 9 of the This Week in Film podcast. I really don't want to watch Mac and me. You're a terrible person, Charlie.
that's my favorite part about
Really
the show
wanted-
is making Nick watch terrible
I really
movies.
thought we were going to talk about Thief because I've always wanted to see Thief.
Yep.
But that brings us to a brand new segment called Keith's Kooky Query.
yeah.
Keith,
What?
what's your movie-related question for this week?
All right. How about, hey guys, what's your favorite query, kooky alien movie?
Oh,
Huh?
because of Mac and me.
Because Mac and Me.
I see what
That's
you're
a good-
saying.
Does that work?
Yeah.
That's a
Is-
great one.
I mean, your use of words in the sentence was weird. But,
How do you, I was on the spot.
but to answer last week's Tony's third-degree question, what was your favorite Cosby movie, or movie in general? We had a lot of responses.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Chibi Foz on the YouTubes said he saw Ghost Dad in theaters, so I guess Ghost Dad. And Matt says Jaws. For the final Tony's third degree. That'll about wrap it up. So, Charlie, you don't get to talk about Comic-Con this week because you're a terrible
Bitter
people.
Nick. Bitter.
And Keith, where can the people find us?
Oh, right. Well, I can find you on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, Stitcher, the website, of course, which is www.thisweekinfilmpodcast.com,
Oh, I didn't even know that.
YouTube,
Cool.
Zanga, MySpace,
No.
Facebook.
What's a Zanga?
You never had a Zanga?
Are we on Zanga?
I don't think they do that anymore.
Keith is building us a Zynga account.
Guys, this has been really awesome. Thanks for having me.
Keith,
That
thanks,
was a blast.
thanks for swinging by. Charlie, comic book is called...
Boy Zero, finally the copies are coming. So next week I'll get to tell you where you're going to be able to order them.
Keith, do you have anything to plug?
No.
Great.
Except thisweekinfilmpodcast.com.
Yeah, great. This week at filmpodcast.com.
Sweet.
All right, take it easy. We'll see you next week.
Let's end it with one scene from Mac and me. Goodbye.